all art, all of this stuff, every idea stems from something. It's all inception. You saw something at some point in time that sparked whatever you want to do. You're an astronaut now. It's most likely not because you just woke up one day and said I want to be an astronaut. Something sparked that idea in your brain and then you ran with it. You developed your life around it. Like, so we are inspired every day and nothing is original because it's all made up from things that we consume all day, every day. So, something that I find really funny is when people ask for things like, I wish they'd make more original things, or I wish that there were more original ideas. I have a news flash for people. Originality, it's dead. It's dead and gone. A big part of that is because there have been millions of years
Yeah.
of stuff
On this planet.
on this planet. And so, now everything is going to be a rehash of something else. Like, it's very unlikely that anybody has an original idea. Even the things that we have today are just new versions in a different form.
Mhm.
I mean, you look at social media, it's what already existed in real life, now just on the internet. Like, there are these communities where people can interact and engage with each other. It all existed before, just in different spaces.
Mhm.
So there is no such thing as originality, and I think we have to move forward from that. And what originality kind of is now is, how do you make something feel original? How do you make it not feel like what came before it? Where are these ideas that come into us? How do we take that and how do we then make
Mhm.
a new thing with it? So that's what we're talking about today.
Yeah. And I think the answer to that question is, first of all, embracing that originality is dead and like take the pressure off of yourself and take the pressure off of other people to like be original.
Facts.
Because, first of all, you are original.
Original.
So you and yourself and your vision,
You're the original you.
yeah, is is the answer to making this quote unquote new project original.
Yep.
It is you. It is your vision. It is how you do it. Um, what we like to say is like it's gonna hit different. Like all of
Mhm.
us, the way that we do things is different, and our perspective is different.
Take something you've done before, something that you yourself have already done once before. Do it again and see if the time you do it now is exactly the same as what you did before. Especially if you take something that you may have done 10 years ago. So take a piece of a project or anything you have that you did 10 years ago.
Mm.
Now redo it today and see how similar it is or see where the changes are. Because we're always growing and our minds are always developing in a different way.
Mhm.
Something that we thought, a week ago may not be what we think today.
Your
Uh,
approach will be different. Yeah.
Absolutely, approach will be different. I agree. Get that out of your head. Get the notion out of your head that originality doesn't is not a thing that we have anymore because we do. We absolutely do have it. It's just different. It's evolved like everything else because you can only have so many new ideas. It's just that I think there's what 7 billion people. I think we're at 9 billion people now in this on this
We'll fact
planet.
check.
So I think, but a lot of people on this planet, it's most likely that any idea you come up with right now, somebody else has had that idea.
But the way in which you execute it is going to be the game changer.
Mhm.
And
And
I think that's the message is like focus on what you do and what you bring to the table and like don't question it. Just do it.
don't question it, just do it, like Nike said.
Yeah.
They said just do it. They didn't say don't question it. The reality though is you should question everything. That's me. Question everything. Question it twice just to make sure the first time wasn't a fluke.
Just don't question till detriment.
Yeah, I say don't question until don't question it in a sense that stops you from moving forward.
Yeah.
Um,
Curiosity questioning is good.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, so I think about everything. We listen to the music we listen to today. Like, I mean, it's even if you go back to the music that your parents or grandparents say, oh, they don't make music like they used to. Like, if you listen to that music, or if you actually take a time machine back to that time, you're gonna have another generation saying, "Oh, they don't make
Mhm.
music like they used to," because that is, it's always gonna change, always gonna evolve. But it's all coming from the same thing. Like, all
Mhm.
of Western music is stemming from the same origins. Uh,
Yeah, well, and even beyond that, because like, music is so far reaching, but what I was gonna say to that is what's funny is any artist that you like, any musician that you like right now, they have influences,
hmm
and their influences are in their music.
Yep. Yep.
They just did it their way.
Yep.
So, yeah,
And taking
it's
that same thought, you think about,
borrowing.
yeah, borrowing, yeah. That same thought, you think about films. One of my favorite directors, Quentin Tarantino. Uh, so many of his films and projects are just rehashes of things he's seen in the past, things that he really enjoyed, but they're the Tarantino way. If you look at Django, which came out not too long ago, Django, the original version, the original spaghetti western. It's not a black dude. It's an Italian guy, and it's about a very similar story in the Wild Wild West, except for in the modern one, he decided to make it about a slave. And you've got Jimmy Fox, who's Django, and the slave is going back to find his wife that was taken from him, and he's reclaiming his life and his freedom. That story is not the same Django story that was told in the 60s, or yeah, 60s. That's a different Django story that he decided to tell. But the inspiration is there. All those
Mhm.
spaghetti westerns, their inspiration's there. Once upon a time in Hollywood, he's inspired by old Hollywood. All those inspirations are
Mhm.
there, but that movie didn't exist before. That rendition of it, even though it's just inspired by something that we all have seen or known or heard, or people lived through this.
Well, and
Uh,
there's literally, like, historical fiction
yeah,
in there.
yeah, yeah.
Like
Things that didn't happen, or but variations of it, like
Yeah.
So originality, it's all over the place. You could find it anywhere.
Yeah. And you something you said was originality is everywhere, which, is true because you see it and it's coming from people, but I think, originality is truly from within.
Yeah.
It just gets projected everywhere,
Oh yeah, I like that. I like that.
you
Yeah.
know? And the other example going back to music that I was thinking of was Dolly Parton wrote I Will Always Love You.
Mhm.
Um so when I was younger, I didn't know that because I only knew the Whitney Houston version.
Which was fire.
And Whitney, like, I mean, gosh, that woman. But like even Dolly, she was like, wow, I didn't know it could sound like that. And Dolly's amazing.
Mhm.
So like even just artists paying homage and inspiring or being inspired, and then the original artist also being like impressed and inspired is just a really cool way, I don't know, of how originality does come to fruition and how it can
Absolutely.
impact people. But yeah, going back to the main point, like that song was not new, but how she did it was.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I think the other, and the Whitney one is so fantastic in a sense, because, well, not in a sense, it's fantastic. But one of the things is I didn't even know until recently, like in the last like decade, that wasn't an original song. I had no clue it was a cover, and then I think it was a game show or something I was watching, and they were like, who wrote "I Will Always Love You," and there was somebody was like Dolly Parton or whatever, and I was like, oh shit, I didn't know Dolly Parton originally did that song, and I listened to it, and then I listened to the Whitney Houston version, and like I hear the similarities in like the song,
Mhm.
but these are two completely different artists who do two completely different things with it.
Genres.
And I thought that was an amazing
Mhm.
example of this exact topic. And I think about, for an entire genre of music, you talk about hip hop,
Mhm.
who has who built so much from listening to old R&B music and then taking those sounds and making something completely different. One of my favorite producers, the RZA, his whole, the beginning of Wu-Tang was him listening to records and taking like drums or a bass or just different things from these records and creating an entirely new record with it. And
Mhm.
that is just mind blowing. in the creativity that we as humans have to look at something, and we can all look at the same thing and take something different from it and then build something completely different from it. Uh,
Yeah.
and that's why I don't think originality in the way that people say it is gone or it's dead. I think it is flourishing in a way that it has never flourished before, because now
Mhm.
people are not afraid to be inspired, not
Mhm.
afraid to hear something and say, "Oh, I think I can do something with this." All art, all of this stuff, every idea stems from something. It's all inception. You saw something at some point in time that sparked whatever you want to do. You're an astronaut now. It's most likely not because you just woke up one day and said, "I want to be an astronaut." Something sparked that idea in your brain, and then you ran with it. You developed your life around it. Like, so we are inspired every day, and nothing is original because it's all made up from things that we consume all day, every day.
And what's so important about that is the i what's so important about you listening to yourself and your vision and doing it now, especially if you're inspired by something of the past, is, like, this generation and this culture now needs it.
Yep.
Like, you can have your own influence. I guess I just think of, like, when I think of the whole Whitney Houston thing, like, she brought it I feel like she made it even more relevant to the culture at the time, and brought it to a different crowd of people.
Yeah, yeah.
That and people that maybe didn't listen to, like, country music before or whatever.
Yeah, because I mean, Dolly's been around since I was before I was
Yeah.
born, but I wasn't checking for Dolly Parton like that. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
And I think what I think for myself too is like I love there's something about like the nostalgia of old musicals and parts of old Hollywood, not all of it. We won't get into that. But
shout out to Bob Fosse.
yes, but yeah, especially like like Bob. But like if I so if I acted more on the stuff that I was inspired by, like it would be new and fresh. But people that also have those similar interests and likes, like they would also see it, but like see it in a new light.
Mhm.
I don't know. I just think it's a cool concept to like bring something that you're passionate about like to the culture of now.
Yeah. So I say, when you go home tonight, or if you're home already and you're listening to this, think about the things that inspire you. Think about the things that you sit down and you can get lost in for hours, and think about how it shaped your thought process. Think about how it's maybe shaped a project. Look at a project you've done
Mhm.
and think about all the inspiration that went into that and see where that came from, and break it down and think about how original you made it. Trust in yourself,
Mhm.
but trust in the originality of you. That's us. Everything we bring, each one of us, it's new because we're now involved.
Mhm.
Simple
Yeah.
as that.
Cuz even if you think you're doing the same thing, like even if you think you're performing it in the same way, you're not, because you have different experiences, you have a different life perspective than the original person who did it. So
Yeah.
like it's going to be different regardless. So yeah, again, take the pressure off, listen to your voice and execute.
Yeah. So with all things, and as we've tended to end all these episodes, I say, not only trust yourself, but love yourself.
Yeah.
And you know,
And love what makes you you, because I think at the end of the day, our influences and inspirations are what make us who we are.
yeah,
So embrace that.
you're an important piece to every puzzle.
Mhm.
So don't forget that. Self Love Media, we're glad that you're here with us. We'll see you all next time.
Bye.